Let's be fair, getting your head round the new testing rules is rather hard just now, but testing is so important, especially with COVID cases rising as steeply as they are. So in this film, we want to explain how the rules have changed and what you need to do to keep yourself and others as safe as possible.
Lateral flow tests are the ones you take at home, and they should only be used if you don't have symptoms. Now, ideally, you should test regularly, especially if you're going to meet people, to see if you have the virus without even knowing it.
Now, in the past, if you got a positive result from a lateral flow test like this, you'd need to get a follow-up PCR test. That's the one that's sent to a laboratory. But that's changed. For now, while case rates are so high, if you get a positive lateral flow test, you don't need to get a PCR test. Safe to assume you have the virus. Start your isolation.
At the moment, our rates in Somerset are higher than they've ever been, and so LFTs are really accurate, about 97%. But it's really important that not only people do the tests, but they report whether they're negative or positive online. The reason for that is because we need to know what proportion of people are positive to put effective controls in place.
And the rules on isolation have changed too. If you have COVID and you do a lateral flow test on day 6 and day 7 and they're both negative and you no longer have a temperature, then you can stop isolating. Obviously, if either of those tests are positive, you need to complete your isolation up to 10 days.
What hasn't changed are the rules on what you have to do if you have symptoms. Then you do need to get yourself a PCR test, either online or by visiting one of the test centres. Now, your isolation starts from the point your symptoms began. If you get a negative test, obviously you can end your isolation. If not, the rules we've already explained are the same.
Around 1 million people in England who are at particular risk of becoming seriously ill from COVID have been identified by the NHS. Now, they'll be receiving a PCR test kit at home by mid-January to use if they develop symptoms, as they may be eligible for new treatments if they get a positive result. And these test kits will get priority in the laboratories. Vaccinations, of course, remain our best line of defence, and if you haven't had yours yet, then please make it a New Year resolution. The rapid spread of the Omicron variant, now dominant in the southwest, is starting to have a real impact on workforce absences in many sectors, which is another reason why we all have to play our part in keeping numbers as low as we can.
As we learn more about the virus, we know it's overwhelmingly spread in the air. And so the two measures we really want to remind people about is using a really well-fitted face covering. That's over the nose and the mouth. I really like the disposable masks, people call them surgical masks. And the second thing is really think about ventilation. Spring's on its way, so why not meet up outside, go for a walk, or if you do need to meet up inside, make sure you open the windows and get a real blast of fresh air through to clear any virus that's lingering around.
The reality is that the risk of catching COVID now in Somerset is greater than it's ever been, which of course means the risk of getting ill, having to take time off work, maybe keeping children home from school. So we do need to do all we can to protect ourselves and the people around us, especially those who are vulnerable, for whom COVID, whatever the variant, can be very serious. I'll see you next week.